Hey, today I'm here to talk to you about oppositional defiance disorder in children and adolescents. I'm going to start out with the biological and cognitive underlying issues. So, some biological underlying issues could be genetic factors. Genetic factors like a predisposition genetically to oppositional defiant disorder. Children with a parent or sibling who has a behavioral or mood disorder, including ODD, conduct disorder, or ADHD, may have a higher risk of developing oppositional defiance disorder. Some neurobiological factors. Studies indicate that ODD might be linked to abnormalities in areas of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, impulse control, and decision making, such as the prefrontal cortex and amygdala. Dysfunction in the dopamine system may also play a role in aggression and defiant behavior. Physiological arousal. Children with ODD often have lower physiological arousal, which may result in reduced sensitivity to stress and punishment. This can contribute to their tendency to challenge authority and defy rules without fear of consequences. And then some cognitive issues can be cognitive distortions. So they may interpret neutral or ambiguous situations in a hostile or oppositional manner. For example, they may see a request to clean up as an unfair command rather than a neutral request. And then deficits in executive functioning. So executive functioning deficits like trouble with impulse control, planning, and maintaining attention may also contribute to ODD. These cognitive challenges can make it harder for children to follow rules, remain calm in frustrating situations, or delay gratification. Now I'm going to talk about some social underlying issues with oppositional defiance disorder. So there can be family dynamic issues. So they may often display oppositional behaviors at home, particularly with authority figures like their parents. This can strain parent-child relationships and increase the frequency of conflict within the household. Problems with peer relationships. ODD can also interfere with social relationships. Children with this disorder may just struggle to get along with peers due to their irritability, refusal to follow group rules, and argumentative nature, leading to social rejection or conflicts with others. And problems in the school environment. So they tend to have difficulties in structured environments like school, where compliance with rules is expected of them. Their disruptive behavior can affect their academic performance and lead to negative teacher-student relationships. And then some psychological issues here are anger and irritability. It's one of the hallmark traits of ODD. It's frequent irritability, anger, and frustration. They may experience intense emotional reactions to perceived slights, either real or imagined. Low self-esteem. Many children also struggle with low self-esteem. The constant negative feedback from adults and peers can lead them to feel inadequate or misunderstood, which may exacerbate these issues. And then emotional regulation difficulty. This is when they have trouble controlling their emotions, especially when they feel criticized or challenged, and it leads to intense outbursts. Here are some characteristics and clinical features of ODD. Keep in mind that these behaviors must last at least 6 months and be noticeably disruptive to the child's ability to function at home, in school, or in social settings. One is defiance and refusal. The central feature of ODD is a pattern of defiant and argumentative behavior toward authority figures like parents, teachers, and other adults. Children may argue with adults, refuse to comply. Temper tantrums and irritability. These children often exhibit temper tantrums, emotional outbursts, and irritability. They may become easily angered and react aggressively when they don't get their way. Blaming others. Individuals with ODD frequently blame others for their mistakes or problems and have difficulty taking responsibility for their actions. Another thing is vindictiveness. In some cases, children with ODD show a tendency to be vindictive or spiteful, seeking revenge after perceived wrongs or slights. Now I'd like to talk about prevalence. So the prevalence of ODD is estimated to be around 2 to 16% in children and adolescents. It's more commonly diagnosed in males than females, with a higher occurrence in boys during early childhood. So ODD typically begins before the age of 8, and it's most often diagnosed during the preschool or early elementary school years. However, it may also become more apparent during the adolescent years. Some co-occurring disorders. There's frequent co-occurring disorders with ODD. If they have ODD, they likely have some other condition like ADHD, autism, anxiety disorders, mood disorders. Children with ODD may also be at a higher risk of developing conduct disorder later in adolescence. So I also wanted to show you the annual prevalence versus the lifetime prevalence. So the annual prevalence is 2 to 16% of children and adolescents that are affected by ODD in any given year. And then the lifetime prevalence is estimated to be around 8 to 10%. Alright, so here are the ways that oppositional defiance disorder is treated. One of the ways is psychotherapy. Some examples of this is CBT. It can help children and their families identify and change negative patterns of thinking and behavior, and it can teach them problem solving, coping strategies, and how to deal with frustration and anger in healthy ways. Another thing is PMT, or parent management training. One of the most effective treatments for ODD is PMT, which parents get help developing strategies to manage their child's defiant behavior. Parents are taught to set clear expectations, provide consistent consequences, and use positive reinforcement. This sounds a lot like what I do as a behavior interventionist, doing ABA therapy for kids with autism. Some of these kids, it's pretty common for them to also have ODD, so the strategies that we use to help them be consistent with following rules and structure and stuff is very similar to how ODD is treated. I just thought that was interesting. Another treatment way is family therapy. So involving the whole family in therapy can help improve communication and resolve conflicts. It also helps family members understand the disorder and support the child's treatment. So here's some medications that are used to treat ODD. They're typically not the first line of treatment for ODD, but they may be used if the child has co-occurring conditions like I was telling you about earlier, like ADHD, depression. Medications like stimulants for ADHD can help, and also antidepressants. One of the most important treatment methods are school-based interventions and social skills training. So behavioral interventions in schools can implement behavioral interventions that address disruptive behaviors. This can include setting clear expectations, using positive reinforcement, and providing structured routines that help reduce defiance. And then training in social skills can help children with ODD improve their ability to engage in positive peer interactions, reducing their likelihood of engaging in oppositional or aggressive behaviors. Like with many psychological disorders, the exact cause has not been determined, but here are some things that research suggests. So it can have to do with genetics and family history. So genetic predisposition always plays a significant role, or it always can, in psychological disorders. Children with parents who have mood behavior or impulse control disorders are at an increased risk. Additionally, inconsistent parenting or a history of parental conflict or neglect can contribute. Parenting styles is also something I found interesting. Harsh, inconsistent, or neglectful parenting styles can increase the likelihood of developing ODD. If children are not given appropriate limits or consequences, they may develop oppositional behaviors. Environmental stressors. So traumatic experience like abuse, neglect, or chronic stress can contribute to the development of ODD. Living in an unstable or violent home environment may increase a child's tendency to defy authority. Some neurodevelopmental factors are imbalances in neurotransmitters or abnormalities in the brain regions that are related to impulse control and emotional regulation. This may increase the risk of developing oppositional behavior. Alright, here is what some people may experience living with ODD. So in school and their academic performance, they may often struggle in school due to their oppositional behaviors and difficulties following rules. They may get into frequent conflicts with teachers, having trouble staying on task, or fail to complete assignments. So in their social relationships, like at home, peer relationships may be impacted due to their argumentative nature and tendency to challenge authority. Their behavior can lead to rejection or bullying, making it harder for them to form positive friendships. ODD can lead to significant strain within the family unit. Parents may become very frustrated or exhausted by constant conflict with their child. There may be issues with communication, discipline, and managing the child's behavior at home, leading to family tension. So for self-esteem and emotional health, they experience challenges there, such as the constant conflicts, rejection, and punishment faced by children with ODD can affect their self-esteem. So these children may develop feelings of anger, frustration, or depression, and this only exacerbates the issues. They are at a very increased risk of substance abuse as well because of previously mentioned. Without early intervention, children with ODD may be at a much higher risk of developing conduct disorder or engaging in risky behaviors. All right. So, however, aside from all of that being said, with early intervention, the challenges of living with ODD can be reduced. Therapy, especially CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, can help children learn to manage their emotions and respond to frustration in healthier ways. Parent training can teach families how to set clear boundaries and consistently enforce them without escalating conflicts. A supportive environment, both at home and at school, where the child feels understood and respected, can make a significant difference in managing the disorder and improving quality of life. It's a challenging journey, but with the right support, children with ODD can learn to navigate their behaviors more effectively and build better relationships with those around them. Thank y'all for attending my TED Talk or presentation.